that the motion be agreed to. Honourable Shane Jones.
Sir, leave of the House to a point of order, sir.
Point of order.
I seek leave of the House to table a letter signed by myself, crafted by Chris Farfoy, to the Chief Executive Officer of Television One.
Leave is sought for that purpose. Is there anyone opposed to that course of action? Appears not.
Thank you, sir. So I want to direct our attention to the Construction Contracts Amendment Bill, and with the Shadow Leader of the House, with some encouragement and direction from the Shadow Leader of the House, he has informed me that indeed this bill has already been to the Select Committee.
It's on its way back.
And it is on its way back, sir. I want to direct our attention, sir, to a provision in the bill that has been referred to by the Associate Minister for Local Government, who I must say I am waiting to hear, as indeed everyone in Northland and Whangarei, has he initiated an investigation into why, sir, the civil infrastructure around Marsden Point, Ruakaka is collapsing and has put another potential $20 million liability on the Whangarei District Council books. Sir, I've invited him to have a look at it last night. I don't want to embarrass him, because him and I are proud members of the Golden Oldie rugby team. Not quite, sir, as esteemed as yourself in former years in that role. Anyway, let us come to page 6, retentions. Now, sir, we will support this bill. And we look forward, sir, the Minister bringing an SOP into the House to improve an area that's caused the Shadow Minister of Commerce, Clayton Cosgrove, I didn't say conniptions because that could mean tantrum, but concerns. Now, sir, the concerns relate to the fact that the Minister has left it to the bureaucracy in MB, or what used to be known when it had a far more focused Minister, the Department of Building and Construction. Sir, the problem that the bureaucracy seems to have got itself lost in, with legions of lawyers no doubt, is that retentions, and this bill unfortunately does not deal with it, yet it's called Construction Contracts Amendments Bill, that retentions are potentially being abused or misused, sir, by the head contractor or the developer, and it's something akin, we fear, to a pyramid scheme. Now, sir, that's a reasonable concern. It's something that blew up when the Mainzeal firm turned to custard, and I realise, sir, litigation surrounds that receivership now, so I won't intrude into that area, as I'm sure there's two sides to the story in relation to the litigation. But, sir, it's a very good point that if a firm has delivered on the contract, then the retention portion of its contract price ought to be made available without any delay, sir, because often these firms that are delivering services to the head contractor or the developer, sir, they're like a lot of small to medium-sized businesses in New Zealand, they're starved of cash flow. And given, sir, that the current regime has basically looked after the big end of town, unless you're a dairy farmer, but they're becoming bigger and bigger, so I fear that the sort of archetypal dairy farmer like my dad will soon be a thing of the past, and you'll have these large syndicated agri-businesses paying no capital gains tax, getting free water, but I'll come back to that later, sir. If only such levels of sort of commercial virtue were visited upon the forestry, the fisheries, the wool and the meat industry, then I'd feel less sort of antagonistic towards the agri-business barons. But anyway, so let me come back to the bill. I was just giving an indication of some of my thinking to the fellow members of the Primary Produce Committee, who I hold in high esteem, sir. I hold them in high esteem, and I'm sure they look lasciviously sometimes at the cash flows, sir, of the dairy farming fraternity. But, sir, page 6, we're not imploring the Minister. We want the Minister to bring forward a solution so this bill can be plugged where our members on the Select Committee felt that it was adrift. And the area really, sir, is around the security of payment and retentions. We have a solution. We should not allow this particular part of the pricing and the payments of large-scale construction to turn into a pyramid scheme. Now, sir, it's not for me to identify firms that are engaging in this egregious practice, because that might lead to an accusation that I'm abusing the sovereignty or the doctrine of parliamentary privilege. But, sir, unless they do pick their ideas up, I fear that the man who compared the current Minister of Justice to an acid-spitting cane toad, he could sort of leap forward again. He could leap forward again. Yeah. So I quite enjoy florid expressions, but I'd say, sir, that tops it. That's gone right up to where you might sort of regard a high-ranking sot. Now, sir, providing an SOP comes forward, I think that the majority of us on this side of the House will have very few concerns. But we do know that, sir, a host, indeed there was a press statement put out recently by an organisation representing registered tradesmen and women in the building sector, complaining that this omission is actually crippling their businesses. So I may be belabouring the point, but the Minister's got an opportunity in the spirit of bipartisanship to bring forward an SOP and solve it. There's no obstacle, sir, to him putting forward such a supplementary order paper. Now, of course, sir, arbitration is absolutely necessary in this particular sector. I wasn't on the select committee, which probably was not to the benefit of the opposite members on that particular select committee, but we've had lots of submissions from people concerned that they're not being paid enough for the work that's been done. And the other side of the House, they know that that's by and large accurate. Occasionally, you do get some, miscreants in the industry, or cowboys. Far be it from me, sir, on this side of the House to call them cowgirls. But, sir, we do want to support the notion that where there's an intransigent set of disputes, that they can go to an arbitrator, not disappear into the High Court, not disappear into extraordinarily expensive litigation, but arrive at a situation where a very prompt decision is delivered. That's what both parties deserve. That's a contribution, sir, to our concerns in respect of productivity. And it's only these small steps, they may seem insignificant in isolation, but when you add them up, sir, there's a great deal of positive impact as to where these improvements can actually lead to the sector. The sector's got a host of other problems, sir. Indeed, today I had representatives from the certified builders come in and see me. They made some reference to this particular piece of legislation. They also referred the need to develop and train the next generation. And indeed, sir, we have a host of policies, and I actually hope that the other side of the House shows the same level of zest that we do to bring forward the new generation of tradesmen and women. And indeed, if we ever needed an example where it hasn't worked out to our satisfaction, it's in Christchurch. Legions of our distant relatives from the Emerald Isles arrived after a number of them had been through the health system for conditions that I won't talk about in Parliament. But, sir, a number of them have been found to have the wrong set of skills and inappropriately matched. Let's invest in our own young people. Let's invest in the school leavers. Let's ensure that the tradition, that the esteem that in my time plumbers, carpenters, drain layers and a host of other vocational trade qualified people were held, that we continue to invest in them, not just in the universities. Now, sir, I've been told not to talk about universities for fear of straying into ethnic politics. So I promise, sir, the man to my right, who is, and I'll tell you, he is our designated spokesman, etc. I may have some things to say about private training establishments and how they are actually distorting immigration policy. I'll have more to say about that, but then that could lead to a complaint to the Speaker that I'm stealing someone else's lines, sitting down to the left from me from time to time. But that's another matter, sir. We support this bill and look forward to the SOP that plugs up what is an omission, and I'm sure both sides of the House want to see the SOP as soon as possible. Kia ora tātou.
Jonathan Young.
Thanks to the previous speaker, you were stealing my light.